Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Forest Policy eTalks FDC webinar series. I am Michiko Buot, the Information Officer of FDC and your host for today. So aside from this Zoom platform, we are currently live streaming at the UPLB Forestry Development Center Facebook page. So kindly invite your peers to this discussion by sharing our post. So you can find that on our Facebook page at UPLB Forestry Development Center. So while you are all doing that, in behalf of everyone in Forestry Development Center, I would like to thank our partners and of course you, our participants who have been with us since day one and who have witnessed the creation of yet again another important series under the eTalks banner, which is Turning the Tide, Why Mangroves Matter. So we've already covered rediscovering mangroves last March, and the topic on regulatory framework, institutional structures, and governance of mangroves last April. And for this month, we are to tackle a new topic called Mangrove Ecosystem Goods and Services, Practices and Lessons Learned in Mangrove Development and Utilization. So I'm sure you are all excited to hear more about this topic, especially from our speakers. So without further ado, please join us for a prayer and singing of the national anthem to formally start our program.
Dear God, thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with one another in this webinar. We are truly grateful for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speaker so that he would be able to impart effectively his God-given knowledge to all of us. Bless the participants as well so that they would be able to glean the vital information from this activity and spread what we've learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. Amen.
Thank you all again. And again, good morning. I would also like to welcome the 52 Facebook Live participants and 243 participants via Zoom that are with us today. Ayan, we are here yet again in another e-talks where we can sit down, listen, then discuss about important forest policy issues, specifically on mangroves. We have learned plenty from researchers, the academe, policy implementers, the science behind why mangroves matter to us. And now we will be exploring a new format today. We will be reserving the stage or the screen for this specific moment to an equally important perspective, the local government unit and the community. So we can expect to hear on the ground practices and lessons learned in mangrove development and utilization. So in order to maximize this discussion, FDC decided to have an ikapihan, or a moderated discussion where we can witness a dialogue between LGU and community leaders, moderated by none other than Dr. Dixon Gavania. So on the screen is the flow of the webinar. Let's go to the next slide, please. The opening remarks will be delivered by the Dean of the College. Before the ikapihan, we will be giving each speaker an opportunity to present their topics within their respective communities. That will be delivered by 5 minutes only, okay, in 5 minutes only. After this, Dr. Gavania will then proceed to moderate the ikapihan as well as the open forum where participants may ask questions to the speakers. So closing remarks will then be delivered by the FDC officer in charge. So that's the whole flow. So to formally open the webinar and to represent the Dean of the College of Forestry and Natural Resources, may I call on Associate Dean of the College, Dr. Analyn Codilan.
Thank you, Michiko, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of our Dean, Dean Marlo Mendoza, I would like to welcome you all to the Forest Policy E-Talks Mangrove webinar series organized by the Forest Development Center. So as related by our host, today's webinar is on mangrove ecosystems, goods and services, the practices and lessons learned in mangrove development and utilization. We are all honored and privileged to have here with us some of the champions in mangrove development and management to share their experiences and learnings and to inspire all of us. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our guests who will also serve as our speakers today, Honorable Alfredo M. Coro II, the Municipal Mayor of Del Carmen, Siargao Island, Surigao del Norte, Ms. Charito Amor C. Lagadia, Environmental Management Specialist of Prieto Diaz Sursogon, Mr. Wilson Batislaon, the Municipal Environment and Natural Resources Officer of Leganes, Iloilo, and Mr. Roberto Ballon, President of the Kapunungan sa Gagmayong Mangingisda sa Concepcion or KGMC of Concepcion, Cabasalan, Zamboanga, Sibugay. So welcome po sa inyong lahat. We all know that mangrove ecosystem has several functions and values like provisioning of products, regulating benefits, cultural benefits, supporting benefits, among others. Despite all these, sabi nga po sa study ng ating moderator, si Sir Dixon Gavania, mangroves continue to decline at a decadal deforestation rate of 0.05%. Such deforestation is mostly attributed to aquaculture development, conversion to other uses, overharvesting of mangrove products, climate change, among others. During the 1990s, the government continued the conservation, rehabilitation, and development of mangrove policies and programs, including DNR Administrative Order 1990-15, which is the regulations governing the utilization, development, and management of mangrove resources. To ensure sustainable development of the coastal and marine environment and resources, EO 533 was also passed in 2006 to adopt the Integrated Coastal Management as the country's national strategy. So malapit din po talaga sa puso ko ang mga mangroves, no? When I was doing my MS, yung pong focus ng study ko is in mangroves ng Quezon Province. While the government continues to enhance its policies and programs on mangrove and other coastal resources, it also strengthened its relationship and collaboration with various stakeholders involved in mangrove resources management. And some of these collaborations focus on mangrove ecotourism, protection, mangrove-based livelihood, and linkages, which will be shared by our speakers today. What we will learn from our speakers is a testimony that community participation and engagement is very important in ensuring sustainable management of resources. So let us all be excited sa mga pwede po nating matutunan sa ating mga speakers na po, from this webinar today. And again, a very warm welcome to each and everyone, and let's all have a fruitful discussion. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, AD Anna, for that warm welcome and very informative message. Now we will proceed to the introduction of the speakers and the moderator. So the first speaker, Honorable Alfredo M. Coro II, served as the municipal mayor of Del Carmen in Siargao Islands for 9 years, as vice mayor for 3 years, and now back as municipal mayor. The transformation of the municipality of Del Carmen and Siargao Islands with an environmentally balanced and community-based development approach has been recognized by various national and international organizations. Among the recognitions received by our speaker are in 2022 Most Impactful Island Innovation Ambassador, Island Innovation Awards. In 2021, one of 50 Faces of Exchange U.S. Embassy in the Philippines, and in 2019, UPLB Distinguished Alumni. So Mayor Coro also serves as advisor to ICLEI Local Governments for Environment, Senior Fellow at Atlantic Institute, Health Equity in Southeast Asia, and Fellow at AIM Bridging Leader Initiative for Climate Resiliency. So the second speaker, Ms. Charito Amor C. Lagadia, holds the position of Environmental Management Specialist 2. As an EMS, she also acts as the municipality's Environment and Natural Resources Officer. In the 2021 Para El Mar Marine Protected Area Awards, the LGU's Coastal Environment Project received numerous awards such as Best in Enforcement Award, second place Best Mangrove Award, and Most Outstanding Locally Managed MPA. The third speaker is Mr. Wilson Batislaon, currently the Menro of the LGU of Leganes, Iloilo, and the person responsible for the development of the Leganes Integrated Katungan Eco Park, or LIKE. In 2016, he became the sole Filipino winner of the Walt Disney Conservation Hero Award after he was nominated by the Zoological Society of London. Through his leadership and that of Mayor Vicente Pija in the second, the Leganes Integrated Katungan Eco Park has bagged several awards such as the LGU INREM Champion during the third International Conference on Integrated Natural Resources and Environment, or INREM, on November 19, 2021. With the topic presented, Establishing Partnership, a Strategy in Mangrove Development, and was adjudged as Best National Greening Program in the province of Iloilo in 2019. Now, the fourth speaker is Mr. Roberto A. Ballon, also known as Kadodoy. He is the current chairperson of the Kapunungan sa Gagmayng Mangingisda sa Concepcion, or KGMC, the Federation of Fisherfolk Association in Zamboanga City, COMPAS, and the municipal FARMC. He was recognized for many notable awards, and among his most recent accomplishments was during the Historia ng Pag-asa Film Festival 2019 of former Vice President Leni Robredo, where he was awarded the grand winner. The documentary featuring Kadodoy won the best film. In the same year, he was awarded as National Gawad Natatanging Parangal of the Central Bifar under fish conservation. In 2021, he was the sole fisherman awarded the highest honor from the Ramon Magsaysay Award Foundation. Ayan, so these are the four panelists or speakers that we are going to hear from today. Now, I will be introducing our moderator. So the moderator for the discussion is none other than Dr. Dixon T. Guevania. He has about 2 decades of research work on mangrove ecosystems, particularly on the aspect of climate change mitigation, coastal governance, and coastal resilience. Dr. Dixon is currently professor in DSFFG, Directors of Trees, and President of Forest Speak. So with that, I am pleased to welcome Dr. Guevania to the Zoom screen to facilitate the next part of the webinar. So please, a round of applause. Dr. Dixon.
Hello, yes. Thank you, Michiko. Yeah. So we'll have first, the video of the mangrove ecotourism and linkages, care of municipal mayor of Del Carmen, Siargao Island. Yeah. Good morning, Mayor Coro. Yeah.
Morning, sir. Morning, everyone. Greetings to the UPLB College of Forestry, foresters, participants of this webinar, fellow presenters, ladies and gentlemen, marajaw na adlaw sa ato tanan. I have 5 minutes to tell the Del Carmen Mangrove Forest Management through ecotourism and linkages, after which we can discuss further the specifics of what you want to know. Let me start with some information about Del Carmen. We are part of Siargao Islands, which is a protected landscapes and seascapes under E-NIPAS Act of 2018. We are a 5th-class municipality with the largest contiguous mangrove forest in the Philippines at almost 5,000 hectares. We also have to manage a 2,000-hectare watershed forest reserve and a 44,000-hectare municipal waters. Our management approach in the management of the mangrove forest uses the Bridging Leadership Framework. This focuses in the management of multi-stakeholders with various interests, understanding the social determinants, and co-creating intergenerational programs to manage the mangrove ecosystem. The ownership of the management of the mangrove starts with having science-based governance. Before we do any communications or convergence strategy, it begins with the truth about the ecosystem that you have. Partnerships with academe and research institutions to collect the necessary credible data is a must. Secondly, we can only co-create owners by sharing science-based information. We brought the multi-stakeholders for several discussions using various platforms, and our coming together, Tambayayong in our dialect, allowed us to effectively and efficiently discuss how we can link science, innovation, policy management, and behavior to be able to manage, govern, and protect our environment, our community, and our people. Science and communication should result to translating ownership into policy. LGU Del Carmen crafted various ordinances and forest-related activities in the municipality of Del Carmen. This includes declaration of 2,000 hectares watershed forest, the annual tree planting and coastal cleanup done during environmental celebrations, watershed management plan, mangrove management plan, among others. The result of the dialogues and policy led to developing an alternative industry to help maintain the people's behavior in the management of the mangrove ecosystem, the Mangrove Ecotourism Program. First is investing in natural infrastructure. Our prior actions on the mangrove forest resulted in the mitigation of the impact of Super Typhoon Odette when it made landfall last December 16, 2021. Second is really developing the ecotourism industry. We develop an ecotourism industry that capitalizes on our biggest asset, the mangrove forest and the vast municipal waters. Our Nowhere to Cover story boasted of boat tours who were previously illegal fishers and illegal mangrove cutters, and a community-based tourism program employing at least 1,000 families on rotational basis. Our community started to invest in homestay businesses, food and restaurant enterprises, and transport services. The new economic activity generated jobs, encouraged entrepreneurs. Pre-COVID, we had 146 plus boat operators for the mangrove tours, 150% increase in business permits, a new alfresco mall, an average of 700 to 900 visitors a day. The local government also increased its revenue from $6,000 annually to $400,000. The extra revenue allowed us to finance programs that will allow other social determinants, health services, education services, employment connectivity, etc. Third is to sustain the creative communication strategy to all demographics and their different interests. We are launching a Del Carmen Bakawan book and have hosted the annual Siargao International Marathon for the mangroves. Fourth is scaling the influence by being a global voice. Coming from one of the smallest municipalities in the Philippines, to share a story of transformation to a global audience sustains the interest of your ecotourism program and increases the linkages. Let me end by sharing the environmental impact. Our numbers tell our story. 200% fish stock increase, allowing us to absorb increase in fishers for food security, especially during this pandemic. 100% zero mangrove cutting even during this pandemic and typhoon. 95% reduction in illegal fishing even during this pandemic. 97.7% sustainability score from reputable organizations. This photo is from the front cover of the Philippine Daily Inquirer with our three lady warriors, Armendro, Tourism, and Barangay Captain, releasing a turtle trapped in a fish coral. This epitomizes our commitment to conservation through this pandemic and typhoon. Thank you very much again for the opportunity, and we hope you join us in our journey to recovery from Super Typhoon Odette and the pandemic. Please stay safe, wear face masks, and get vaccinated. Bangon Del Carmen, Bangon Siargao. Salamat karajaw sa ijo hurot.
Thank you, Mayor Coro and Del Carmen. Will surely visit Siargao. No, I've been there. When was that? I think 2019. Very, very nice place, no, Mayor Coro? Yeah, it's a very impressive achievements. Of course, multi-awarded as well. Para Elmar Best Mangrove Award, Galing Pok Award, and counting. Yan. So, kindly reserve your questions, no, or insights or any comments. You may type them in the Q&A box for those who are tuning here in Zoom. And for those who are in FB Live, you may also, chat there if you have questions, no, to our resource person, our speakers. So we'll have our open forum later on, and also, question and answers for our resource person later on. So we now go on to another very successful case. It's in Prieto Diaz, Sorsogon, to be presented by Ma'am Amor, no, representing Mayor Domasian. Mangrove Protection and Livelihood case of Prieto Diaz.
So, good morning. In behalf of LGU Prieto Diaz, through our municipal mayor, Honorable Romeo D. Dumasian, we would like to extend our sincere thanks to the Forestry Development Center, UPLB College of Forestry Natural Resources, for inviting us, the LGU, to become one of the speakers to this one-of-a-kind forum. So to start with, I would like to present the Prieto Diaz Mangrove Ecosystem, the protected area. It is called the Mother of the Sea. Next. So we are located at Region 5, particularly in Sorsogon Province. By the way, I am Charito Amor, Lagadia, the Environmental Management Specialist 2 of LGU Prieto Diaz, Sorsogon. So I would like to introduce the Prieto Diaz, the history. It was founded on October 12, 1903 by virtue of Public Law number 940. So Prieto Diaz is named after the last names of Bicolanong martyrs, Father Gabriel Prieto and Father Severino Diaz, two of 13 martyrs who were instrumental during the Philippine Revolution in the Bicol region. It is the only town organized after Sorsogon became a province on October 17, 1894. So the municipality of Prieto Diaz is found in the 2nd district of the province of Sorsogon, Region 5, about 80 kilometers from Legazpi City, or 24 kilometers away from Sorsogon City, the northeastern tip of Sorsogon provincial capital. So there are 23 barangays comprising the whole municipality, 19 of which are located along the Pacific coast. So we are frequently battered by strong typhoons. Prieto Diaz has total land area of 4,767 hectares and has a total mangrove area of 1,034 hectares. We have the Mangrove Stewardship Agreement awarded by the DENR, which has an area of 500 hectares. It is being managed by the PO in the name of Simancor. It has a total number of mangrove species of 21 and 31 associated species. As to zonation and the seafront, nandun po yung bungalon or the Abyssinia and the Rhizophora stylosa. In the middleward zone, the mixed vegetation in the landward, Rhizophora and the Miyapi. We have the unique flora, the gapas-gapas, which is already endangered species, the bakawan babae and the bakawan bato. And the unique fauna found in the mangrove area are crayfish or ananakla, king crab, the mangrove crab, which is napakasarap talaga niya. And the bird species, the heron, egrets, wild ducks. We have top three abundant species of mangroves, the bakawan bato, Rhizophora stylosa, pagatpat, and the bungalon. As you can see, meron siyang Google Map link. So you can type. Makikita nyo dyan yung mga different species of mangroves, the 21 species and the 31 associated species of mangroves found in Puerto Diaz. So these are the 21 mangrove species found in Puerto Diaz, also in the 500 hectares MSA awarded mangrove ecosystem and Puerto Diaz. So these are the geotag photos of the mangrove species in the area. So nakikita nyo yung vegetation talaga napaka-green. Ito naman yung mga list of migratory water birds or shore birds. Egret, particularly heron, sandpiper, among others. So these are found in the mangrove areas of Puerto Diaz. And yearly, DENR is conducting birdwatch monitoring to monitor kung yung population ng mga migratory birds. Yearly din, gumagawa ang DENR ng mga assessment. So last year, at different barangays, Carayat, Santa Lourdes, Balawan, and San Isidro. So result reveals that 3 saplings and seedlings of bakawan bato are dominant mangrove species in the area. So the average mangrove biomass or standard basal area of mangroves is validated site is 31.79 square meter per hectare. So kapartner po namin Palagan DENR sa ganitong mga assessment. In year 2014, a social mobilization activity headed by Simancor Eco Developers Incorporated. By the way, the Simancor Eco Developers, this is a PO where the members are all fisher folks. To be exact, they have 97 members from different coastal barangays of Puerto Diaz. So social mobilization activity was conducted in a 2-hectare reforestation planted with 5,000 propagules of bakawan bato. Then based on the result of validation last February 2016, a survival rate of 95% was recorded. So malaki yung survival rate. And then we have also the non-government organization in the name of Good Neighbors International Philippines, planted a total of 30,000 mangrove propagules last 2015, 2017, and 2019 respectively. It was also observed during monitoring and feedback of Simancor Eco Developers that the mangroves plants are in good condition, with 80 to 90% have a good growth performance after planting. So as to governance conditions, we have several ordinances as to the protection of our coastal resources. Particularly, we have an ordinance for the providing of development, conservation, protection, utilization, and disposition of all fish and fishery aquatic resources within the municipal waters of Puerto Diaz or in other purposes. We have also an ordinance on establishing a part of the municipality of Puerto Diaz or a seagrass bed reserve and appropriating the amount of 10,000 thereof and prescribing rules and regulations for its conservation and management. We have also an ordinance on banning the catching of crablets, locally known as langaw-langaw or lawa-alawa at the municipality of Puerto Diaz. And then an ordinance revising and consolidating fishery ordinances and rules and regulations affecting fishing and fisheries in the municipality of Puerto Diaz. And an ordinance declaring Block 1 as mangrove forest reserve of the municipality of Puerto Diaz, and an ordinance providing heavy penalties for catching sabalo and sea turtles within the municipal waters of Puerto Diaz. So ganun ka supportive din ng aming legislative body sa paggawa ng mga ordinances as to the management of our coastal resources. So what are the key management practices na ginagawa ng Puerto Diaz in order to maintain our coastal resources, particularly the mangrove? Of course, community organizing, IEC, matinding IEC, CapDev, capability building and advocacy campaigns, research and development. It paved the way to the establishment of seed production area. The source of quality propagules establishment of mangrove etum, a place where different mangrove species thrive. So this is in partnership with the DANR. And for the livelihood development and promotion, we have introduced several alternative sources of income and deviation of community from too much dependency to mangrove resources. Isa din sa mga key management practices sa the monitoring and evaluation. So napaka-importante ng MNE to recommend policies and design project improvement, define projects for the way forward. And in the policy formulation, law enforcement, and political will, which is very, very important. Due to dahil sa napaka-supportive ng aming local chief executive, and then intense din ng aming law enforcement, it leads to zero case on apprehension and confiscation. So this is the management structure as to roles, functions, relevant resolutions, participation of farm CPOs, indigenous people, and others. So this is the organizational structure of Seaman Corps Eco Developers Incorporated. And this is the organizational structure of Integrated Coastal Management of Puerto Diaz, of course headed by the local chief executive. So these are the POs, NGOs, or academic institutions with PA or MPA Eco Park Board, indigenous people, and IPs. So there are academe, non-government organization in the name of GNIP, the Agta Cimarron Tribal Community, Sorsogon State College, Bicol University, Divine World College of Legazpi, Camarines State College, Rotary Club of Metro Sorsogon, Bantay Gubat, University of Nueva Cáceres, Ateneo de Naga University, St. Scholastica College, Philippine National Science High School, other universities and colleges, ako Bicol Organization, other POs and NGOs. So yan po yung kapartner ng Puerto Diaz in mangrove management. So particularly we have MOA with them pagdating po sa mangrove planting and sa monitoring and evaluation. Support and sustainability, fund generation, maraming nakukuhang source of livelihood. Marami nakukuhang income out of well-managed mangrove. So maraming activities dito, yung mga fisher folk, particularly the Seaman Corps. They have the tour guiding, catering services, collection and sales of mangrove propagules, danggit processing, and rental services. So pamoso po ang Puerto Diaz pagdating sa danggit. So we have the danggit processing facility, which is 8 million yung cost. 4 million nun ay counterpart ng Fish Coral Project and 4 million counterpart ng LGU. So this is a livelihood project ng mga fisher folks na talagang malaking tulong sa kanila. Ma-maintain lang ng mabuti yung seagrass and mangroves. Okay, next po. So sa partnership, malaking tulong yung partnership kasi hindi naman kakayanin ng LGU alone. So meron kaming collaboration, partnership with BIFAR, DNR, Fish Coral Project. Nag-stay sila ng halos 5 years. So far this year, yung Fish Coral ay end na siya. Pero maraming tulong yung naibigay sa Puerto Diaz, particularly sa Livelihood Project. Ayan yung sinasabi ko kanina, Danggit Processing Center. Halos kompleto yung facility to cater the processing of danggit or the rabbit fish. Ang provision ng mga bangka, ecotourism, and other supplies, equipment na binibigay ng mga ating mga partner agencies and LGUs. So sa law enforcement, regular law enforcement activities or patrolling were conducted by Bantay Dagat with the PNP, LGU, MFRMC, and the Seaman Corps. To strengthen them, the law enforcement, we have LG provided the logistics or the infrastructure. So we have 3 units operational patrol boat and 1 speedboat, 3 units watchtower for the monitoring of mangrove and other activities in the coastal waters. Uniforms, we provided the Bantay Dagat with uniforms, GSIS insurance, monthly honorarium. Of course, hindi lang sila for law enforcement, kailangan din nila ng livelihood. So we provided the Bantay Dagat with livelihood projects, diving equipment, binocular, GPS, underwater camera, radios. Present din ang mga billboards and signages, the logbook, the police blotter, and the summary of apprehension. So as of now, we have 14 deputized Bantay Dagat and PNP staff. So it's an SOP po na hindi sila pwede mag-patrolling na wala ang presensya ng PNP. For the IEC, napaka-importante po ito. Okay, andito po kasi si Mayor sa likod ko, kararating niya lang po. So,
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning po.
Good morning po. Good morning.
parang hindi ka nakikita. Ayun. Okay, wait lang po. So, this is our municipal mayor, Honorable Romeo D. Dumasian. Napakalaki po din ng tulong niya. Nung kami ay manalo sa MMK, the national winner po ang Preto Dia. So, nung time na yon si Mayor ay Vice Mayor. So, malaki din yung part ng Sangguniang Bayan, the legislative body, para mapanalunan ng Preto Diaz yung malinis at masaganang karagatan. Naging national winner po ang Preto Diaz. At ngayon po ay hoping na ma-download na yung 30 million na award sa Preto Diaz. Okay? So for the IEC, thank you sir. For the IEC, malaki yung tulong nito sa community para maipaintindi sa kanila gaano ba kaimportante yung pag ang isang lugar ay well maintained ang mga coastal resources. So malaking bagay ito para may paabot sa community yung mga kailangan nilang malaman, yung mga pinagbabawal at ano mga dapat gawin. So it's an awareness program, communication, education, and public awareness. Yan. So marami po siya, like the coastal cleanup, mayroong radio program through the ENR, meeting with the Bantay Dagat, regular meeting with the POs, with the fisher folk. So marami kaming ginagawang meetings, pagtitipon na kung saan po yung mga mangingisda ay invited. They are part of the process in the preparation of the proposal, lalo pa at merong 30 million na inaantay ang Preto Dia. So involved dyan ang fisher folk in the entire process ng paggawa ng project proposal para makagawa ng isang proyekto na karapat-dapat para sa kanila. Okay, so next po. So what are the impacts of benefits? Ano yung mga benepisyo na ba na nakuha? After more than 25 years, the success of CEP. So, ang aming mangrove naman kasi ay nagsimula siya talaga sa wala. Actually, year 1992, 1990s, rampant yung illegal mangrove cutting. But then, here comes the Coastal Environment Program, lead by the DENR. Doon po nagsimula lahat. Madugong IEC, madugong implementation, nandun yung mangrove planting. May mga time pa nga na merong nakulong ng mga illegal cutters, illegal fisher folks. And then, so doon po nagsimula. So it has achieved its goal for people empowerment and self-reliance. So in 1997, the program was turned over by the DENR to the Seaman Corps for their management, in which up to this time it's operational and self-sustaining. So kung nakikita nyo yung before 1993, ganyan yung binigay na parang opisina ng Seaman Corps, made of light materials only, year 1993. But now, kung makikita nyo today, ganyan na kaganda yung opisina, yung building ng Seaman Corps. Halos slab na din siya, and then very na din sila, self-reliant. Hindi na sila umasalo sa gobyerno. Sila mismo, they can generate their own, kung ano yung, they can generate income on their own and share their income to the members. So yan po yung nagagawa ng well-managed mangrove area. So malaki yung malaki yung tulong ng people empowerment. In the community are the resource owners. Therefore, they are responsible for the protection, sustainable use, and control, proper management of the resources they own. So ultimately, they establish high social acceptability. Strong partnership through convergence efforts. So different agencies, stakeholders collaborate, initiate and contribute or provide respective input for resource sustainability. So strong partnership benefit within RNGAs, LGUs, POs, convergence, amplification of linkage and synergy. Another impact, sustainability and replicability of the program. So it defines objectives and goals, formulate plans and environmental policies that provide direction towards future development, identify and provide alternative livelihood support mechanism that would generate income and provide incentives to divert community from dependency to the mangrove resources, and visible increase in biodiversity, flora and fauna. Another impact, community resiliency. So people are able to stand strong on their own and able to adapt to the current situation vis-a-vis implementation of environmental policies. Another impact is to develop pride and dignity among the fisher folks and the rest of the stakeholders. So enjoying the reward or awards, honor, and pride. So isa rin po itong impacts, increase in catch rate. So halos yearly we are conducting fish catch monitoring. So from 2018 to 2020, hindi ko lang nasabay yung last year. I need to compute the total catch. So from 20, makikita natin from the valuable species, particularly the siganid. So from 2018 to 2020, makita natin yung talagang increase ng catch ng mga mangingisda. Okay. Sorry na, sabay ko yung Marilag. Actually, this is the mangrove. Ang isa pa din sa impact ay sa livelihood economic development. So fisher folk, POs increase income. Out of post-harvest activities, catering services, and other resource-based livelihood activities. And other benefit, community empowerment and self-reliance, local social responsibilities being developed, and increasing knowledge and awareness. Okay, for the infrastructure program, kung makikita nyo, merong what we call this boulevard or the seawall, and then sa back niya is the mangrove. This is the blended infrastructure model project. This is one of the project under risk resiliency program and climate change mitigation and management. So this is preserving the mangrove forest while implementing coastal stabilization and protecting the coastal communities for environmental hazards through the establishment or seawall o coastal road. So take note po, wala dyan pinutol ni isang mangrove. So kumbaga, ang purpose naman yan ay maprotektahan yung community, lalo pa at we are frequently visited, battered by strong typhoons because we are facing the Pacific Ocean. So malalakas talaga ito yung bagyo. So nandyan yung mangrove to protect against strong winds, against strong waves, and then finally the seawall or the boulevard. The next. So what are the issues or challenges? So these are the issues. The issue on abandoned, unutilized, and underdeveloped fish ponds, particularly those with lease agreement with the DBP. So this is still unresolved because DBP is running after the rights over the area. Number 2 issue, non-renewal or cancellation of the renewal instrument-based amended criteria and evaluation of the DENR. And number three issue, change in leadership in the PO, Simanpor, the LG, and the DENR, the national leaders, so may have different priorities. And the number 4 issue is the climate change. So these are the awards and recognitions, the national awards. Gawad Parangal at Pagkilala ng 100 Munisipyo Lungsod, the Voter Program in year 2016. Gawad Bayani ng Kalikasan Awardee 2017. 2020 National Grand Winner, Malinis at Masaganang Karagatan, the MMK. 2021 Grand Winner para Almor Best Mangrove Award. 2021 para second placer para Almor Best Locally Managed Marine Protected Area. Regional Awards, second place, Malinis at Masaganang Karagatan 2017, Saringaya Awards 2017, and regional winner MMK 2020. So that's all. Thank you. As you can see, this is at the center of Alfredo Diaz, our former mayor, Benito Boitidoma. He is now our provincial board member. So yung passion niya talaga sa environment, sa fisheries, nandun po talaga. Same with our mayor today, Mayor Romeo Dumasian. So that's all po. Thank you. Thank you ulit, UPLB.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Amor, sa iyong naibahagi. No? Thank you very much. One thing I can remember doon sa Para Elmar Award, because I was the one actually who read the result, no? And yun nga, Prieto Diaz won the Best Mangrove Award, and during that's was actually the first award na nakuha out of 3, no, na award. And one thing I really can remember was that, you know, when Mayor Boity Dodo Ma'am received it, no, very heartfelt, and I can see the passion of Prieto Diaz LGU now with the Mayor Domasian to continue to sustain yung inyong mga mangrove programs. And I just remember the motto, if I got it right, people first. Very simple, people first. I remember also yung motto naman ni Mayor Coro, no, ng Del Carmen. He always emphasized listen to your community. So I think we're stitching something here that key success really has to start or emanate and be strong at the grassroots level. Yan. Okay, so thank you very much again, Prieto Diaz, no, Mama Amor, for that presentation. Now we move on to another LGU champion, no, LGU INREM champion, and also a good friend in Leganes, no, Iloilo. Yan, Walt Disney conservation hero, no, none other than Menro Wilson Batislaon, to share their, you know, story, success story in Leganes. Yan.
Leganes Integrated Katungan Eco Park is a 9.5 hectares abandoned, underutilized, unproductive, municipal-owned fish pond successfully reverted to a healthy mangrove ecosystem. Used to be a very productive fish pond, rented to a private individual, and serves as a source of income for LGU Leganes. Unfortunately, in 2008, Typhoon Frank completely damaged the area, and the lessee turned over the property back to the local government unit. Later, a memorandum of agreement was signed between the municipality of Leganes with the Zoological Society of London to revert the area to mangrove ecosystem as part of the community-based mangrove rehabilitation project of CSL. With our projects, we need to organize or to form involving the community. That's why we organized the Mangrove Seedling Growers Association. The CBMSGA is a duly registered, and it is composed of 30 Fisher Folk members, and it is supervised by the General Assembly, which is the policy-making body, and of course with the different officers who also take charge of the implementation of their program. They were trained on basic mangrove biology and taxonomy, nursery establishment and maintenance, which is a hands-on training, and mangrove outplanting, survival, monitoring. It is also a hands-on training for every members. After organizing the PO, we formed them in the mangrove seedling production and nursery and maintenance. That's why the PO were able to bag 86,124 seedlings. The peak of our mangrove seedling production happened on January to December of 2012, where there is a massive mangrove seedling production. Nursery was established. Of course, maintenance of the seedlings had been done, and later hiring of mangrove caretaker was made to supervise the facility, and the link with other groups to help in the bagging and planting was also initiated. On this slide, you can see 86,000 mangrove seedlings was bagged, and of course that includes seedlings from the wild, and involves different volunteers with the community organizations. Besides from the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association, a lot of our partners also help in the restoration reversions of the area. So far, we have 143 partners, collaborators, volunteers, ranging from kindergarten to senior citizen. We have people who help us from LGBTQ to the military, religious organization to fraternities, and we have also bankers who help us out in the reversion and in the reversion of the area. To reiterate, you can see in the slides are some of the strategies of implementation where not only the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association help us out, but other volunteers. That's why we were able to raise bug seedlings 86,000, 124,000, and we were able to outplant 82,494. Right, previously I had been presented that we have a lot of partners, but of course sometimes in the absence of the local government unit, we involve the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association to supervise the activity. On the slides, you can see some of the volunteers that engage in development and reversion, conservation, and protections of mangrove. More partners are help us out in every activity we conducted for the protection of the park. All right, on this slide shows that more or less 83,000 seedlings were planted with our partners and volunteers and collaborators, including the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association. To ensure survival of the mangrove, regular maintenance are being conducted, especially for growth monitoring, the number of leaves, the height, etc. And of course, removing of filamentous algae is one of the urgent need, because during summertime there are a lot of production of filamentous algae. That's why a lot of volunteers, including our municipal employees, help us out in the cleanup of the area. Some of the major issues that was tackled, uh, one is stray animals in the mangrove plantation was of course eliminated. Illegal structure also was addressed, and the cutting of mangroves was also prevented. This is due to the implementations of the mangrove ordinance, which is protected mangrove, which protect the mangrove in the area. Well, I will be telling you on the next slide the positive impacts of the project involving the participation of the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association. One is the empowerment of the PO. PO, we were able to link with other civil society organizations, the NGOs, the private business corporations, and the academe. They were able to access technical, financial, and logistic, and of course, labor for free from the partners. The help in the prevented the encroachment, illegal structure, mangrove cutting, stray animals, and charcoal making, and of course, the increase the fish catch by the community. This is according to their record that the increase the number of kilos per catch per day. As part of the positive impact, there is a sustainable or alternative income for the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association through seedling production. When in fact they have available 4,000 seedlings on standby in case there are partners who want to go planting activity. Catering also, they serve foods and other items as part of their income, and including the souvenir items like keychain, mugs, and wallets. As part of the sustainability mechanism, there was park declarations and protection, giving the opportunity for the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association to have an income from visitors coming into the park, where they were able to assist in planting, and of course they provide food and other souvenir items. In the part of the LGU enacted the Leganese Mangrove Ordinance number 2011-227, establishing regulation for mangrove conservation and protection and providing penalties for violations. That is part of the sustainability mechanism. And again, the local government unit of Leganés has provided annual budget for the rehabilitation and maintenance of mangrove forest. And another ordinance was enacted creating the Municipal Environment and Natural Resources Office, which would supervise the management of the entire park, giving the substantial appropriation. Well, as a way forward for, of course, for the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association, there must be a regularization of the organizational activities, such as meetings, of course, internal resource generation such as monthly dues and savings generation, participation in local special bodies and accreditation with local development councils, conduct of feasibility study for additional alternative livelihood activities for them, and of course funding sourcing and a continuous network and alliance building. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Menro Wilson Batislaon. Indeed, a very successful case. Now, I remember we did one study there on the it's entitled Idealist and Materialist Divide, a perspective on mangrove management conservation. And we found out in that study that LGU is at the center, no, of why successful yung mangrove programs nila doon. Main player. That's why we found out as well that LGU has to sustain that, no, by also empowering the local community, transferring, no, yung mga how to say that, the competencies. That's what they're doing, no. That's why with the help of many partners, no, I remember they were able to publish very good materials, no. You can find in the internet for free, all about community-based participatory mangrove rehabilitation. So I'll be posting the link here in our chat box so that you can check, no, those documents wherein the case of Leganes, no, was mentioned as an example of a successful community-based mangrove rehabilitation. All right, then yeah. So 3 LGUs. Now we move on to a very strong people's organization. No, and we'll go now again. Go back south, far south in Zamboanga, Sibugay. You know, of course, who would not know Mr. or Kadodoy Ballon? No, we also invited him to speak in last year's SFFI International Conference. Why? Because of their remarkable success, no, that leads to the very high honor. No, it's like our version of Nobel Peace Prize, the Ramon Magsaysay Award. So he's going to share about their story on mangrove-based livelihood. No, how conservation really enhance, no, the well-being not only of the few families but almost the whole community there, no, relying on mangrove. So yan. So good morning, Kadodoy. No? And the screen is yours. And he's now live actually to make it really how to say that more interesting. I think he's in a floating cottage. Yan, somewhere in Zamboanga, Sibugay. Kadodoy,
Yes, hello, good morning to
good
everyone.
morning.
So, magandang umaga sa lahat at ako'y nagpapasalamat sa ating taga UPLB Forestry Development Center na isa tayo sa inibitahan na makapagbigay ngayon ng ating experience din o may bahagi natin yung ating karanasan at mga programa dito sa Zamboanga, Sibugay, yung aming association o initiative. And also congratulations to the two municipalities presented earlier their also success stories and programs or project in terms of coastal resource management program. So ito naman sa akin ay it's also our association of the Kapunungan sa Gagmay Mangisda sa Concepcion or the KGMC, and it was started in 1986, no, and currently we are in the federated fisherfolk organization. We call this the Coalition of Municipal Fisherfolk Associations in Zamboanga, Sibugay, na kung ano yung ginawa namin dati sa aming organization sa KGMC ay pinalaganap, ay in-expand at in-implement namin sa mga iba pang munisipyo, iba pang mga organisasyon na tulad din namin ng mga maliliit na mangingisda dito sa Zamboanga Peninsula, no. At totoo yan, isa nga sa aming malaking programa itong Mangrove Reforestation Project o Mangrove Program. At ngayon ay dahil sa lawak na ng aming ginagalawan, ang pinag-uusapan namin ngayon ito yung unang title na usapang pangkaragatan at pagbabago ng klima, paghahanda at pagpapalakas sa komunidad para humina ang mga epekto nito, no. So next slide please. Yun ang mga aming partners, no. Ito yung aming mga ginagawa. mayroon kaming tatlong ginagalawan. Una, yung livelihood, environmental protection and management, which is yung pagtatanim at pangangalaga ng mga mangroves, mga iba pang environment na sa aming munisipyo. Pangalawa, nag-i-implement kami ng mga livelihood or sustainable enterprise. Hindi lang basta-basta livelihood, dahil sa pagdami na rin ng aming mga mangroves at bumabalik na yung aming mga nawawalang isda dati. So nagkaroon kami ng sustainable hanap buhay at pagninegosyo rin, no? Yun ang pangalawa. At pangatlo, yung pagpapalakas ng aming asosasyon, grupo at sa pamamagitan ng mga pakikipag-partners sa iba pang mga institusyon, national government, at siyempre sa pamamagitan ng mga trainings and seminars, no? Next slide please. So yun ang una ay ginagawa namin, itong mangrove establishment, no? Hindi lang siya basta-basta establishment. Ito ay may mga innovations kami na instead na gumagamit kami dati ng mga usual na mangroves lang, yung mga iba't ibang uri ng mangroves tulad ng bakawan o the Cynorrhea species. So nag-innovate kami into other species tulad ng pagatpat o Cynorrhea alba, yung dati ay Rhizopora, ngayon ay dahil dominant yung mangroves na pagatpat sa aming lugar, at ito rin yung pinakamabilis at resilient na mangrove. So ito yung tinanim namin. So kaya dito kami nakilala at dumami at biglang lumawak yung aming mga tinatanimang mangroves. Next slide please. So dahil dito ay nagkaroon din kami ng pagkakataon na hindi lang basta-basta after kami magtanom ay pabayaan na namin. Yun ang dati yung mga problema namin, na after namin magtanom ay pinapabayaan na lang. So wala rin nangyari. So puputol din at ang ginagawa ay nagtatanim kami ulit. So ang ginawa namin, other than planting of mangroves and doing nursery, nagbo-volunteer din kami ng mga bantay dagat para bantayan itong aming mga tinanim. At sa tulong ng ahensya ng gobyerno, ng BIFAR, ng local government unit, ng provincial government unit, at iba't iba naming mga partners ng mga NGO tulad ng Severe Foundation or Severe Agriculture Extension Foundation, at iba pang naming mga partners tulad ng dati ng Forest Conservation Foundation, ngayon yung FITFCF, no, at iba pa. At ang pinakamalakas na ginagawa namin yung pagbabantay talaga ng mangroves, no, para wag talagang pabayaan at putulin. At sabi nila, kung nakikita nyo yung aming mga bantay dagat, yan, mga pulis, mga kafgo at mga bantay dagat din namin ng mga deputized. May mga armas yan sila na dinadala, pero hindi yan gamit para sa mga illegalista, kundi pang depensa lang kasi mga pulis at kapugo yan. Pero sabi nila ay napakalakas daw ng armas ng aming patay dagat. Sabi naman namin, ay hindi yan, mahina yan na armas. Ang pinakamalakas talaga na armas na aming gamit sa aming pagbabantay sa mangroves ay itong aming mga armas na 3-8. Ano ba itong 3-8? Ito yung agahan, tanghalian, hapunan. In English, breakfast, lunch, dinner. How many it is that? 3-8. Yan ang pinakamalakas na armas sa aming pagbabantay. Dahil sa pagbabantay namin sa aming mga mangroves, may mga livelihood kami at maraming isdang nahuhuli sa gilid lang ng mga mangroves, ay marami kaming kabuhayan. Kaya ang tawag doon namin ay 3-8. May agahan kami, may tanghalian at magandang hapunan. Yon ang nagpapalakas sa aming pagbabantay. At hanggang ngayon ay pagpatayan talaga ng aming mga membro yan para bantayan talaga yung aming mangroves o kalikasan. Next slide please. So yon ang naman ay maliban doon sa pagtatatag at pagbabantay ng mga mangroves, ay isa rin sa ginagawa namin ay coastal clean up, no, or itong mga solid waste management na basura, dahil sa dami ng mga bahay sa gilid ng dagat. So hindi maano natin makokontrol yung mga basura, although may batas naman tayo na yung Republic Act 9003 na Ecological and Solid Waste Management Act. Pero sino ba dapat ang papatupad noon? So kami naman ay dahil nakikita namin na hindi kaya ng barangay, so nag-volunteer din kami at tulong-tulong para tulungan yung barangay na asikasuhin din yung mga basura. Kaya nagkaroon kami ng mga initiative na basura raffle draw. Ang ginagawa namin dito, ang bawat bahay binibigyan namin ng mga tag-isang sako. Pag napuno nila yon, so binibigyan namin sila ng raffle ticket. Then after 3 months, so bubulahin namin sila, binubula namin yung mga tickets na yan at binibigyan sila ng mga bigas, mga groceries. So mula noon ay masipag na yung tao mag-ipon at ngayon kahit wala na kaming raffle ticket dahil nahabit na ng tao, so at least mga 70 to 80% ng aming basura sa dagat ay naiipon at namamanage. Yun po ang nagiging resulta. Next slide please. So dahil sa magandang nangyari, so pinapaiintindi namin sa mga tao ano ba talaga kaimportante yung mga mangroves, anong nakukuha nating mga products at mga gamit sa pang-araw-araw nating kabuhayan at lalong-lalo sa ating mga community. Isa yan sa mga ginagawa namin, mga IEC. Next slide please. So marami kaming mga ginagalawan na pinaintindi namin sa mga tao talaga na pag hindi natin alagaan ang mangroves ay walang sustainable kabuhayan at madali tayong matamaan ng mga kalamidad. So at ito rin ang tinuturo namin sa kanila na next slide please, na ating ayusin at para na rin sa ating susunod pa mga henerasyon at patuloy-tuloy na hindi tayo, kahit nandito tayo sa lugar, pero well protected and mayroon tayong sustainable kita na habang nanirahan sa kilid ng karagatan na malapit at inaalagaan natin yung mga mangroves. Yun po ang aming mga tinutugunan at ginagawa. Next slide please. Yun, dahil sa pagdami ng mangrove, so marami na rin mga migratory birds or mga iba pang marine or mga biodiversity sa lugar. Sa pagyabong ng mangrove, so maraming mga iba pang mga uri na mga hayop o halamang dagat na nanirahan sa lugar at nakakatulong at nakakatutuwang tingnan dahil maganda yung lugar, protektado at malinis at mayabong ang aming mga mangroves. Next slide please. Yan po at yan pinapakita namin sa kanila nung dati yung mga lugar na walang mga microorganism na nakatiwangwang lang, ngayon ay punong-puno ng mga samut-sari uri ng mga halamang dagat na pwedeng pagkikitaan at pwedeng pagbibigay pa ng ibang benepisyo sa ating kapaligiran, sa ating karagatan. Yan po ang palaging pinapaabot namin sa aming mga kasama. Next slide please. So yan po at isa ito pinapakita namin na yung pag nawala yung mangrove, so malaking epekto pa sa ibang mga organismo o sa iba pang kung ano meron sa lugar. Pag nawala yung mangroves, so isa sa food chain o sa cycle ng pinagkukunan natin ng resources o ng pagkain, so malaki ho ang role o ang laro ng mangrove sa ating ecosystem. Isa po yan sa palagi naming ina-encourage sa ina-educate sa mga coastal community, kasama na ang iba pang mga kung sino pa yung mga gusto na paratingan nito na sana ay pangalagaan natin yung mangroves dahil pag wala siya, so malaki ang mawala din sa ating ecosystem. Next slide please. So yun, pinapaalam din namin sa kanila ano yung benepisyo para sa tao. Next slide please. Medyo yung slide ko ay medyo mahaba-haba ng konti, pero yun alam na natin ano yung mga human benefits nito. Next slide please. So may mga tulad na kami rin may mga kumukuha kami ng mga gamot, ng mga panggatong, yung mga sangang namamatay, yung mga first aid sa aming karamdaman. So or mga herbal medicine nakukuha namin sa aming mga mangroves tulad ng tabigi, no? At pag yung aming sikmura, naiiba yung pakiramdam, so naglalaga lang kami ng balat ng tabigi, yung Cyclocarpus granatum, so nawawala yung masamang karamdaman sa aming sikmura o sa aming tiyan. Yan po ang ng mangroves, mga gamit at marami pa, no? At ang pinaka-importante ito sa aming kabuhayan talaga. So dahil sa paglawak at pagdami ng aming mga mangrove, so malaking tulong ito na kapag create kami ng mas marami pang mga kabuhayan, tulad na sabi ko kanina ng mga aquaculture, may mga high value species kami na ino-introduce at inaalagaan tulad ng mga lapu-lapu, mga alimango, mga oyster at iba pang kung ano-anong kabuhayan sa lugar dahil marami kaming nahuhuli at ng mga isda at gumaganda na rin ang kondisyon ng aming tubig at kapaligiran dito sa lugar kung saan mas maraming mangroves na naitanim at napangalagaan. Yan po ang pinaka-importante. Next slide please. So pagkatapos nito ay yon, nagkaroon pa rin na nag-introduce ng ano pa, ng mga iba pa mga sustainable livelihood sa aquaculture. So dati ang mga nawawalang mga isda, so unti-unting bumabalik at napakikinabangan na namin ng mga community dito lang sa malapit. Dati malayo yung pangisdaan namin, ngayon dito lang sa malapit, so nakahuli na kami ng mga magaganda at maayos na isda pangtugon sa aming araw-araw na pangangailangan, dahil malapit lang ang pangisdaan at madali siyang hulihin dahil maganda yung kapaligiran na dulot ng mangroves. So, yun po ang pinaka-importante. Next slide please. So yan po ang isa pa rin, no, na yung mga dati na mga pasaway na mga mangingisda, instead na dati hinuhuli na aming bantay dagat, pero ngayon instead na hulihin natin sila, so tinitingnan namin kung bakit ba gumagawaan ng mga illegal itong mga ano na ito, ng mga mangingisda. So ano ba ang problema? Yun, may dalawa kaming initiative or sa enforcement namin sa bantay dagat. May dalawang uri kaming enforcement. Mayroon kaming tinatawag na hard enforcement, at mayroon kaming soft enforcement. Ano ba yung hard enforcement? So pag nakahuli kami, ay talagang namin dinadala namin doon at confiscate yung kanilang mga paraphernalia kung ayaw sumunod talaga sa batas at hanggang sa pagkakaso, no. Ano naman yung soft enforcement? Yung dinadala muna namin sila sa aming mga opisina, tapos pinangangaralan, in-educate at ino-organize sila at binibigyan ng mga karapatang kabuhayan na sa tingin namin ano yung alam nila at hindi yung illegal. Yun ang ginagawa. Next slide please. Instead na atin sila ipakulong, so dahil kung di natin sila tutulungan at i-organize, i-educate na kung ano mas magandang kabuhayan kaysa dong pamumutol ng mangrove, so yun po ang nangyayari. At isa pa dito, dahil ito na ngayon, sabi ko kanina, nag-i-expand kami at nag-organize ng mga mangingisda sa lugar at sa buong Zamboanga Peninsula. So maraming ding mga community at iba pang mga mangingisda na gustong sumali sa aming organisasyon at sumali sa ating programa, katulong yung ating ibang part. Hanggang namin na instead na kung sumali sila sa amin, yung mga registration, no, 50 pesos. Sa ngayon, mula noong 2011, hindi na kami nagtatanggap ng pera for registration fee nila. Instead, pinapatanim namin sila ng mangroves, 100 to 500 seedlings pag nabuhay. So magiging regular members na sila ng aming federation, association. Pag sa mga individual members ay 100 to 500 puno na mangroves. So para maging membro sila ng aming primary association. Pag sa mga federation naman o sa mga primary association na magiging membro ng aming federation, so at least pinatatanim namin sila o mayroon ba silang na-establish na at least 2 hectares of mangroves para magiging membro sila ng aming federation doon sa Kumpas, sa Provincial Fisher Folk Federation namin. Yun po ang aming ginagawa ngayon, na akala dahil ng aming programa ay basta-basta na lang sila sasali at akala nila gano'n lang kadali. So hindi, dahil pinala namin sa kanila na ano ba yung sinasalihan dito at hindi ito yung basta-basta lang na association o programa. So yan po, next slide please. Yan po, at isa sa mga sikreto po namin, marami kami mga iba't ibang partners na tumutulong sa amin, at ito yung pinaka-importante na pag maganda yung ginagawa mo sa amin, kasi nakita siguro ng iba't ibang institution, ahensya ng gobyerno, maganda aming ginagawa. So nakikipagtulungan, nakakuha kami ng support galing sa kanila, especially our local government unit, the provincial government, and mga non-government organizations na napakita natin. Next slide please. Yan po ang isa sa mga magandang ginagawa namin, dahil sa aming pagtutulungan at pagkakaisa at pagkikipag-partner sa iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno ay hindi na masyado mahirap ang buhay namin ngayon ng mga isda, o hindi naman kami mayayaman, pero masasabi po namin na hindi naman namin napakahirap tulad ng dati na pag hindi nakapangisda isang araw ay hindi makakain. Ngayon kahit hindi kami makapangisda 3 araw, isang linggo, ay sigurado na mayroon pa rin kami pinagkukunan at makakain, dahil medyo maganda-ganda ng kuti yung aming mga programa at nabigyan kami ng mas protektado, yung community protektado mula sa mga kalamidad, itong climate change, global warming at ba't pang mga darating na mga kalamidad. So yan po, at sa huli, marami pong salamat sa UPLB Forestry Development Center na nakapagbahagi tayo dito ng ating eksperyensya at programa sa araw na ito. At yan lang po muna, at maraming salamat at magandang araw po sa ating lahat.
Maraming salamat, Kadodoy. Yan, at napakaganda ng inyo na i-share. Naalala ko tuloy yung isang proverbs or quotation na sinasabi doon, teach a man how to fish and he will never grow hungry. No? Para bang gusto kong idagdag ay teach a man or the community how to protect mangrove so that there will be fish that pwede nilang mahuli at di na sila magugutom. I just remember yung 3-8. Akala ko caliber 38, yung pala ay 3-8 na 3-8s, no? Really securing the basic needs, no? Particularly food and income sources of mangrove dependent households. Yan. At natuwa rin ako doon sa mga creativity, no? Just to spark up yung not only the awareness but the interest to conserve, lalo nga yung mga raffle, no? So indeed, we're seeing a lot of innovations and strategies already. That's why we are now moving to our well, the initial concept of this is like kapihan, although wala namang kape, but I have here a tea, no? Para lang makita natin kung ano pa yung mga noteworthy for us to know, because I think our participants here, they're coming from different offices and I mean interests as well. From DNR, from academia, I see a lot also from LGUs. Some are students, and perhaps maybe people abroad, local communities tuning in, very interested to learn yung kung ano yung mga experience nyo. I would say that it's only over the 1.5 decade nagkaroon ng malaking interest sa mangrove. I remember early 2000, nag-research na rin po kami pakunti-kunti sa mangrove. Not much really ang interest doon, no. Rehabilitation, I would say, is not that I'm talking about the guidelines. Hindi ganun ka-solid as of now that we're talking about science-based rehabilitation, community-based, community-centered mangrove management. Back then, ang hirap ng mangrove management. That's why we can say that one of the reasons is the low awareness na nawala yung ating mga mangroves. They were converted to other land uses. As we know, statistics tells us that aquaculture, conversion to aquaculture, now land reclamation, side by side, ay number one, or perhaps the top threats that we're still facing. And mangroves now related to climate change, yan talaga yung nag-push. Now we have blue carbon, we have mangroves protecting people from storm surge, and of course yung Indian Ocean tsunami, kung naalala niyo yun, it's although geological yun, not climate change, but a lot of studies picked up by news media really saying that if you keep these big mangroves, healthy mangroves, then talaga na po protektahan yung mga sambayanan, kabahayan sa likod ng mga mangroves. Yan. So, we're going to have this Q&A, but yeah, I would like to invite our speakers, yan, esteemed speakers, multi-awarded, yung mga yan. We have 3 from LGUs, of course. We have 2 mayors, in attendance, and then we'll have this like a lightning round. Kung familiar kayo doon, if you have heard about that, like you have to respond to the question just within 5 minutes, hindi nalalampas. So, although ito ay it could be easy questions for you, but you have to make it really concise so that how to say that mas solid, no, yung answer. Okay, let's start, no? Feel free to kung sinong gusto mauna siguro. But the question here, no? And from time to time, I'll be picking some of the questions from our live participants. All right? So, the first question, among the many challenges, among the many challenges that you have or had in your mangrove conservation program, no? So many on, no? Which do you think is at the top and the most difficult to solve? Yan. Sige. Sa dami-dami na pumili po kayo ng isa talaga na sa tingin nyo, in your case, is the most difficult. Ayan. Sino po ang gusto mauna? We have here, yan, of course, nandito pa rin po yung apat nating resource person. Perhaps, Ma'am Amor? Yan. Okay, sige.
Out of the identified challenges, there are I identified 4 challenges in Preto Diaz. Para sa akin, yung pinaka-top ay yung unutilized, underdeveloped, yung AUU.
AUU. Okay.
Kasi sir, mahabang proseso siya talaga. For now, merong project ang DNR dito as to AUU. Halos pa 1 year na rin, nasa ano pa rin siya, nasa site assessment. Ganun katagal yung proseso.
Ikaw na sir, mamati ko sa goa. Sige.
Unang-una kasi yung fish pond under FLA, nasa BFAR yun eh. BFAR jurisdiction siya, di ba? So wala kami ditong poder sa LGU. So yung management naman nun, halos nga yung kita nung processing of fees sa FLA, lahat yun sa BFAR. Wala diyang part ang LGU. So I lobby na kung pwede ma-review yung FLA.
Okay.
Na kung pwede magkaroon din ng part, ng certain share ang LGU pagdating dyan sa mga fees na binabayaran ng mga fish pond landowners. Ngayon naman, mabusisi yung yan ang mga, para siya ma-considered na unutilized, underdeveloped, mabusisi siya. So nakadepende kami sa tulong ng mga national agencies like the BFAR and the DENR. Para sa akin yung medyo matagal na proseso at mahirap po talaga. Kasi isa pang experience, may FLA holder, but then ang status niya ay hindi na siya nire-renew ng owner. Pero as you visit the fish pond, merong nakaposisyon na tao na hindi naman siya yung nakapangalan sa FLA. Subject for investigation pa rin yun. So mamabusisi siya, napakalaki ng dapat gawin para ma-resolve yung issue na yun. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Salamat, Ma'am Char. Talagang, kumbaga, masasabi natin yan, it will be a common problem, lalo na sa buong Pilipinas, yung ating reversion. But I believe DNR has already started yung meron na actually mga policies, no? But the implementation, I think, would somehow take time, no? Doon sa mga discussions po na attendan ko na rin sa national level. Okay, sino po ang susunod? No. Ayan. Siguro si Menro, yan. Menro Wilson, in your case, the top...
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Yeah, the top challenge, no, na talagang masasabi nyo, the most serious problem na na-encounter nyo, and why?
Yes, Doc. Basically, considering LGU kami, and of course, alam naman natin yung fund source or resources ng LGU are very limited. reverting that area, requires a lot of money. It requires, of course, resources. But with our initiative, we were able to build partnership. A lot of volunteer groups, collaborators, those people nag-provide sila ng labor, libre, like that. So we were able to revert the area in a short period of time. No? So yun yung iram ko siguro, yun yung problema namin na sabi ko nga, considering the resources of LGU. Pero yung isa pa na hindi ko makalimutan, yung negative appreciation ng community sa amin. Talaga, dahil kumbaga, during the reversion of the area, parang nawala na sila ng income because the area serve as their parang shield cleaning, yun yung kumukuha ng mga crabs, but eventually they appreciate because more than anything na nakuha nila, dumoble yung kita nila. So if I have to rank, maybe amo na yung pinaka-problema namin. But of course, we were able to find the solution to at least those problems. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Menro Wilson. Okay. We have here Mayor Coro. By the way, Mayor Coro, I would like to mention that is a UPLB alumnus and also outstanding alumnus po yan sa CAS nga ba, Mayor Coro, no?
Yes, sir.
And a good friend too. Okay, Mayor Coro, alam ko maraming problema pero maraming success. But among those many challenges, I don't want to call them problems, but which one is at the top?
The challenge really now is really climate change. I mean, we just went through a Category 5 typhoon, something we didn't really anticipate until the last minute. So yun yung major challenge. And the opportunity is, buti na lang we invested in the mangroves. So it took us a decade to prepare for a 4-hour typhoon. Without our preparations prior to the landing of a typhoon there, malamang madaming loss of lives. And we're very fortunate that we were able to convince the people and change their behaviors into protection and preservation. Yun yung talagang nag-ano sa amin, nag-class. And prior to that, of course, the pandemic. So these new challenges are changing the behavior of the people, and that's what you try to stop from changing. Kasi nabago mo na yung pananaw nila. Pag nabago mo na yung pananaw, tapos meron kang triggers, it will again challenge their perspective. Dapat ba tayo mag-protect? Dapat ba mag-ano? But the pandemic also allowed them to see na yung ating investment in terms of protecting the mangroves allowed them to fish. Nawala kami ng tourism eh. Yung aming fishermen, registered fisher folks, prior to the pandemic was 600 na lang eh. From 2000 noong 2015, naging 600 na mga 2018, 2019. Pagdating ng 2020, 3,000. Kasi wala ka ng ibang source eh. Ng livelihood, lahat punta ng dagat. So nakita nila, nakakain kaming lahat. And they associated that directly with the mangrove efforts that we have done in the previous years.
Wow.
Nasigundahan pa nga ng bagyo. So nakita rin nila na they saw the surge. Tumaas yung tubig namin almost by 6 meters. 6 meters. 2 floors. Umabot yan hanggang road. The distance between the mangrove forest to the road is roughly 500 meters. Pero pagdating sa road, nasa ano pa rin yan, nasa almost 1.2 meter yung taas kasi elevated naman yung highways. Pero walang energy. So walang distraction. Mataas lang yung tubig mo pero walang distraction. So yun yung mga na-experience nila na incidents that validates the actions that they have done. So those challenges that we are seeing is basically all about behavioral management. Kasi lahat ng pagkukumbinsin natin, the policies that we put in place, the alternative livelihoods that we put in place will always be challenged. Alternatives na pwede nating ipaabot sa kanila. Yun yung mga titingnan natin na options, and how do we communicate consistently that the behaviors that they have now are enough and should be pursued further. Kaya nga may target din kaming intergenerational IEC.
Okay.
So how do you now convince the grade 1 students now that by the time our generation that did its part in trying to convince that our generation will try to protect the mangroves and the ecosystems that we have, that this grade 1 will be willing pagdating naman ng time nila.
Yeah.
So yun naman yung target namin ngayon. So two things, climate change, and of course, how do you convince the next generation that it's worth fighting?
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Coro. I just want to read the one comment here. It took a decade to prepare for a 4-hour typhoon. Which means really, yan ang climate change. We're preparing always for the worst case scenario, and we have mangroves to keep. No, a quick question lang, Mayor Coro, because you have mentioned about that. No, many studies are saying that mangroves are really resilient after the typhoon. They got damaged. No, quickly lang. How's the mangroves there already? Nagre-recover na? Tama ba? Naka-recover na ba? Okay.
Yes, sir. We were surprised. Everyone was saying that it will take like months or years for it to recover. We were surprised how nature recovered faster than we anticipated. We're very happy. Right after the typhoon, there was a week of talaga walang ulan. And after that, just continued to rain until now. It's still raining regularly. And dahil doon, yung salt water that reached wherever it reached, hanggang sa bundok namin may alat, lahat yun nawala. So nang nawala yung alat, yun pala yung reason. That's why the recovery became faster. Kasi maganda na yung maganda yung takbo ng tubig. So malinis na yung na-absorb nilang tubig, ng tubig from the ground, hindi na siya salted. So yun, nakatulong po lahat. So now medyo green na tayo, maganda-ganda na. Nagre-recover na. Tourism is back slowly, and we're actually launching now, right now. This very hour, we're launching voluntarismo, a program wherein you can also participate in the rehabilitation and protection of the mangrove forest.
Wow. Yeah, we're looking forward to visit Del Carmen again. No, maganda uli mag-study after the typhoon. Now, yung mga magaganda ngayong topic for research is parang quantifying the resilience of mangroves, because there are so many anecdotal observations that they are resilient. But to really, put into quantities or science, science-based itong mga to, big challenge, and very interesting to pursue. Kadodoy, how about your case? Ano yung pinakamahirap niyong problema? O the pinakamahirap na challenge? Yeah. Kadodoy, nandito pa si Kadodoy? Ayan, nandito pa. Ayan. Pa-unmute po, Kadodoy. Yeah, we are interested to know. No? Although you mentioned a lot in your slides, no, na solve nyo ng inyong 38 no, na strategy. Ayan. Ano yung pinakamahirap nyo?
Yung tanong naman na ano yung pinakamahirap po, the big challenge to protect and manage the in terms of mangrove project and programs. So usually yung sinabi ng una nating sumasagot na sa local government, totoo yung hindi natin alam ngayon sino ba talaga ang may totoong stick diyan. Kasi ano naman ang fair man sa ating local government unit, pag kami nagsumbong sa local government unit, sinasabi ay sa BIPAR yan, ay sa DNR yan. So nagtuturoan, no? So although may batas yun nga ang isang problema diyan. Isa yan, no? Tama yung sinabi ng una nating tagapagsalita. Yung sa amin naman, sa mga fisher folk, no, sa aming mga community, ang pinaka-challenge talaga sa amin itong buti nandito congratulations sa ating taga-punta Prito Diaz na may support talaga sila sa local government unit doon sa mangrove reforestation nila. Isa sa challenge namin dito sa Sibugay, although may mga kami, may mga nakukuhang budget mula sa aming local government unit. Pero yung talaga yung tinatawag na legislated budget for annual mangrove protection and reforestation project, no, yung pagmamapping ng aming mangrove. Although sa amin sa Kabasalan, salamat kami dahil aktibo kami dito. Dito ako nakatira. May mga si BFM ko ano na kami, ako management agreement between the DNR to the LGU and from the LGU to the PO, no. Pero sa kadalasan sa maraming lugar, yon ang challenge ng ating mga mangingisda na iba yung gusto na gawin ng ating mga community na ipagpatanimin diyan pagdating ng panahon. So iba ang nagtatanim, hindi nasusunod yung mga gusto nila mangyari, na example yan ay maganda diyan sa Pagatpat o Miyapi. Then after nagtatanim yung mga ibang grupo diyan kung ano-ano na lang, yung pinakamadali tulad ng bakawan. Usually isa yan sa mga challenge ngayon, yung mortalities, no, na after 3 to 4 months so namamatay hanggang ngayon. So tanim ng tanim, sabi nga namin, kung nabubuhay lang yung lahat ng tinanim natin, siguro ngayon wala na tayong pagtamnan kung nabuhay lang lahat yun at na-manage, no. At yun ang challenge dito sa amin, yung more technical from the line agencies na magbigay talaga ng tamang suporta at technically, financially, and moral support sa ating mga fisher folk in terms of mangrove program. Yan lang sa amin.
Okay, sige. In line with that, gusto ko lang i-follow through yung, kasi parang ilang beses nabanggit yung funding. What's your strategy that you can share to our listeners or our participant now? Maybe they're also figuring out ano yung special strategy in getting funding, or sabi nga natin is called buy-in, no, lalo na sa private sector. No, of course, funding natin sa LGU, it can be very, very limited. But ano yung strategy yung ginagawa po ninyo, no, to ensure you have sustainable funding? Okay. Sino po mauna?
Sa akin ba yan,
Siguro,
sir?
sige. Kayo muna, Kadodoy. Again, lightning round. Siguro, 3 minutes. 3 minutes
Okay.
naman. Okay. And sige po, Kadodoy. Anong strategy nyo?
Since tama kayo, since the local government specifically has the limited budget for mangrove reforestation, no, ang initiative talaga namin ay naghahanap kami at nakikipag-partner sa mga non-government organization related on the mangrove reforestation program to submitting always submission of project proposals to different foundation and non-government organization and institution that has the capacity or has the enough or has the support for mangrove project here in the Philippines, especially on sa amin na mga maliit na mga mangingisda, para ipagpatuloy yung sinimulan ng DNR, ng sinimulan ng local government, ng sinimulan ng mga dati namin mga partners on the ground. So yan ang initiative namin. At pangalawa, yung sarili din namin mga organization, doon sa mga kita o sa organization namin, meron kaming tinatawag na mga savings club, which is introduced by our one of our partner, which is the rare na mag-savings club kami. Then part of the weekly initiative namin, weekly innovations namin, ay mayroon kaming 5 to 10 pesos na hinuhulog doon na gagamitin para sa social fund, na isa doon ay yung para sa bantay dagat, yung mangrove maintenance and reforestation, maliban doon sa mga savings na pinaghahatian namin pagdating ng Disyembre. Isa yon sa mga initiative talaga, at kung may willing talaga yung sa amin talaga ay isa yan sa mga pinaka-vital na pangangailangan namin, yung mangrove. So naghanap talaga ng paraan. Yun ang mga initiative namin. We have our own initiative as a community. Then sa project proposals and different institution that willing to help us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, salamat Kadodoy. Very important yung mga yung mga competencies, how to write the proposals, no. It's good that you mentioned the NGO partnership, helping the local community develop those needed proposals. Okay, I think Mayor Alfredo Coro is also he would like to share something.
Yes, sir. In terms of funding, talaga yan, challenge yan ng lahat for anything. Yung limited funding, but it does not mean that you have to limit yourself sa traditional ways of raising funds. So marami na po tayong non-traditional ways ngayon. Advent of the internet, there's crowdsourcing, Mahirap lang siya yung crowdsourcing, medyo challenge pa siya sa LGUs. Baka makuha ka. So you need a partner, sabi ni Kadodoy na may partner, local partner ka that's a non-government, non-profit. They can do that with you. So may partnership lang. Another is to look into, kasi leader-driven ang leader-driven po ang isang ang local government and how other organizations perceive the direction of the local governments based on the type of leader and the advocacies that they espouse. Like in the case of Prieto, they have so many partners. I saw the presentation, sobrang dami nilang partners. Simply because, nakita ng mga partner na may output. Kung maglalagay ako ng piso sa'yo, alam ko may lalabas na 5 piso, di ba? Pareho lang yan sa kahit anong investment. So, ganun din yung ginagawa namin. We made sure that we could provide the data where their money is headed, anong kalalabasan ng investment nila sa amin. At the same time, we could also showcase na if you invest in us, ito rin yung pwede niyong mapala. Hindi lang sa ngayon, kundi sa susunod na mga panahon. So, it's a matter of sharing the perspective, and I'm pretty sure with the right social media campaign of how you want to position your local government and your advocacies in terms of ecosystems management, napakadali po. Thirdly is through taxation. Nakakalimutan ng LGU yung power of taxation niya. Pwede siyang manigil ng simple lang. Pag pumasok ka sa bayan namin, hingin ka ng 5 piso as an environmental fee or garbage fee. Ticket lang yan eh. And people are willing to actually do that. Kasi it's a matter of wala kang inuulit, tutulong ka. Basta transparent lang. Tsaka dumadaan naman yan sa proseso. Any taxation goes through a process of being approved from the local to the public, to the local government, to the provincial government. So it's validated in its legality. Nagawa namin yan in any of our touch points. Yan yung nagiging namin, tulong sa dagdag na pondo. And I think people have forgotten that capacity to do that. And just be creative in naming ano mo yung tracing fees and charges that you will be espousing sa ating mga visiting public.
Wow, okay. Very well said, Mayor. At saka yung kalinawan nung yung percentage that goes to mga programs talaga ng mga sa mangrove. It's very transparent on that. Yeah. Menro Wilson.
Yes, Doc. Considering that legally integrated Katongan Eco Park is already part of the tourism circuit na siya talaga. So we maintain our partners. We forge MOA with them. So what stipulated in the MOA? What stipulated in the MOA are the protection and conservation initiative mechanism. Then part of that of the MOA is they have also to build of course infrastructure because we have the partners with the United Architect Association of the Philippines, and they have made the master plan. So para ma-maintain namin yan yung sustainability at maka-source out kami, yun yung ginagawa namin. So lahat ng mga partners namin na nakamuha sa amin, we in fact have a lot of partners now na, well, of course, naka-sign sa amin. But yung isa na mabilis na we could source out, we conduct a donors forum. We conduct donors forum. Then those who are interested, particularly those corporations na mayroong corporate social responsibility, of course, for compliance to their businesses, they help us out in giving up as funds or anything that they could. So mabilisan lang, and considering again na yung LGU Liganes ay siya yung pinakamalapit na town, first town from the city of Iloilo. Talagang ang dami nang pumupunta. So of course plus na gumawa na kami ng ordinance na pwede na kami makakolek ng entrance fee, pwede na kami makakolek ng environmental fee. So I guess that would sustain the project.
Right. At tapos yung Katongan Eco Park ay managed ng ng people's organization, no?
Yes, this plus we have still the project management unit dito rin sa LGU namin. Mayroon kaming project management team, but of course majority of the activity is handled by the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Growers Association.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Menro Wilson. Mama Amor. Kayo naman po. Yeah.
Okay, so good morning
Funding.
po ulit.
You have a lot of partners.
Yes, opo. Merong yearly, meron kaming funds sa 20% Municipal Development Fund. For the environment po siya. And then sa MOOE, Mangrove, naka-charge din dito yung sa law enforcement. The honorarium mo bantay dagat, their insurance. So meron po yan fund dito sa amin. So kailangan lang talaga ng follow-up sa mayor, sa planning officer para mabudgetan yung gatong mga pondo. Pero actually yearly naman ay meron siyang fund. And then sabi nga, partnership is the key. So since ang Puerto Diaz is a 5th class municipality, may mga times na we need technical knowledge.
Okay.
Na kailangan naming na pwede naming makuha through the ENR and BFAR. So we seek the help of the ENR and BFAR, lalo na yung mga tinatawag na yung sa mangrove assessment. Medyo technical siya masyado.
Okay.
So yun. And then actually yung mga academe like sa out of Sorsogon, sila mismo yung pumupunta sa Puerto Diaz to conduct mangrove planting activities. So nagiging counterparty na lang yun. Minsan sa amin yung venue, the food, and then yung counterpart nila ay magtanim. Okay. So counterpart din namin yung propagules. So since ang propagules naman is very abundant sa Puerto Diaz. So anytime naman pwede kami kumuha para sa kanila para makapagtanim. And then mag-assign lang ng MOA kasi counterpart din nila yung monitoring, kasabay din kami. No? So yun lang po. Tapos isa pa sa gusto ko i-share, continue lang na mag-join sa mga patimpalak ng DNR and BFAR. Kasi pag once nanalo, ang dami-daming grants na binibigay. And then, dun sa mga prizes, pwede natin ipasok yung proposal as to the mangrove management, improvement, etc. etc. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Amor. I have actually listed here 5, no? Pagdating dito sa sagot ninyo sa funding, of course, partnership. Sabi ni Mayor Coro, taxation. At marami nagsabi track record. That's why you have to join yung mga awards nga. Not only local, maraming international. Like for example, in the case of LGU Leganes, Walt Disney Conservation Hero. No, ang galing, no, Walt Disney. No, and then institutionalization, that's number 4. Policy and MOA. And I like this one, yung Donors Forum. No, invite mo sila and then you present, you have a ready proposal or plans or where they can, commit something. So yan, sa ating mga nanonood at nakikinig ngayon, no, who wants to sometimes, or you're figuring out how to start and funding is very limited. Yan, ito yung mga na-share sa atin. Okay, last question for this lightning round before we proceed to yung open forum, entertaining the questions of our participants in the webinar. Alam kong alam niyo yung sagot na to because this is a very common characteristic, no, sa inyo. Now in brief, yan, very shortly, no, or sa maikling pananalita, how can you describe science-based mangrove management? Yan. Because laging pinag-usapan yung science-based. And by describing it, you may, cite some examples of instances where you can say, ito yung ginagawa namin, ito ay science-based. Okay, sino ang gusto pong mag-umpisa? Science-based, laging sinasabi yan, science-based. What is it for you? How do you describe it? No? Sino ang...
Sir, pwedeng mauna na lang ako.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Coro.
Yes, science-based in our process is really about understanding the ecosystem. So that's why you collect data. The type of mangrove you have, where to plant it, when to plant it, and if you plant it, what will be the impact to the other components of the ecosystem. So the other fauna, the other flora. So ano magiging impact nila? And having that data, it means that meron ka ng way of making a decision, but you have to make sure that the decision is not just yours alone.
Okay.
It's a shared decision. So i-convert mo yan into an IEC. And there are many ways of how you will be converting IEC. Yung science communication plan naman. Kasi nagsimula ka sa gathering of the data, then you try to communicate it, the science communication mo. So iba yung pag teenager, iba yung communication strategy mo. Pag matanda, iba. Pag academic community, iba. Pag donors, ibang-iba. So lahat yan kasama yan sa complan mo. At the end of the day, it becomes a policy. Yeah. So yung science-based governance is about translating the science into the right policy to make sure that the ecosystem will survive longer. So yung pag sa policy mo, lalabas dyan yung planning mo, doon na yung magko-contribute sa CLUP mo, sa ngayon we're doing the CDPL, so lahat yan magko-contribute papunta doon. Pag wala ka nung science, lahat yan haka-haka. At napakahirap pong magdesisyon nang wala kang kwentong ibabalik sa kanila. Kumbaga, kaya mong sabihin na itong lugar na to, dati walang isda kasi pinutol yung lahat ng bakaw. Ngayon, pag ginawa natin to, kasi ito yung best practices na ginagawa ng ibang mga LGU, ito yung nangyari sa kanila, subukan natin. At pag ginawa natin to, in 5 years, ito yung mangyari.
Yeah.
Tapos in 5 years, balikan mo sila. Anong nangyari? Di ba sinabi namin dati, ito yon? Ito na yon. May datos ka. So ngayon, tao maniniwala sa'yo. So yung iba mong programa, that's now focusing in the social determinants. So yung bahay nila, yung issues nila ng health, and public education, lahat yan eh. These are components that may affect their decision making also. May influence mo na kailangan din natin gawin itong iba at parehong proseso ulit. So use again the data, create the communication plan, transform it into policy, then make the programs.
Yeah.
Yun lang po sa amin.
Maraming salamat, no? Indeed, no? Napakahalaga nung information, and the information are reliable enough to make it really, sabihin natin, science-based. So, very, very good point, Mayor. Siguro sa mga susunod na magsasagot. Now, science-based, an additional siguro angle of that question. Now, how do you bring it down to the local community? Medyo challenging yun eh. Like for, sa academe, sa research organization, NGO, alam natin yun. LGU, of course. But local community, when we do this, when we do that, conservation, monitoring, kindly share how you bring down, or dinadala nyo yung science or yung siyensya sa ating grassroots or yung sa ating mga local communities. Okay. Who wants to share? Sige, ladies first. Okay, then Menro, and of course si Kadodoy. Also, Mama Moore, and then Sir Wilson, and then Kadodoy. Okay.
Para sa akin, sir, yung science-based management, mag-i-start yan sa mga studies. So, marami kasing studies na dapat i-conduct. Siyempre, kapartner dito yung mga academe, researchers. Sabi na kayo, sir, UP, mga researchers. And then, sa studies na to, dito natin ipapasok na yung mga polisiya yung sinabi nga ni Mayor. So, magiging basis yung studies, paggawa ng mga policies, like the ordinances, the plans, and then after nito, the implementation. So implementation, pwede na natin ibaba yun sa community.
Okay.
Dito na papasok yung maduguang IEC sa community. Ito yung result ng study. This is the policy na pwede natin gawin. And then, after nun, pwede tayo mag-conduct ng mga CapDev sa mga fisher folk, sa mga POs, sa community. And then, hindi lang siguro implementation ng sa law enforcement, we can also introduce livelihood projects to them. Okay. Para din ma-feel nila na hindi lang puro regulation, hindi lang puro prohibition. This is the alternative livelihood na pwede sa kanila. And then yun, sa implementation, nakikita natin doon yung hand in hand law enforcement, livelihood projects, CapDev, IEC, para maging sustainable ang implementation, sustainable and effective mangrove management.
Okay. Well said, Ma'am Amor. Menro Wilson.
Yes, tama. Of course, alam naman natin lahat na yung Linkages Integrated Katongan Park, the reversion of it was always based on science. We always follow science-based protocol. Typical example is we adopt assisted natural regeneration because according to science, it would take 15 to 30 years to restore naturally the mangrove. But with science, with assisted natural regeneration, we were able to revert the area in 3 to 4 years. So that is science. Now, sa part naman ng community, because we teach them the right species on the right place. Well, Rhizopora is not recommended to be planted in the same plant. That's why the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Association takes those people who want. Sometimes they bring with them their propagules, the Rhizopora. So the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Seedling Association teaches them not to plant because it's against the science. And of course, we consider planting Rhizopora on the sea plant, especially Rhizopora mucronata, is a mortal sin. You're in Linkages Integrated Katongan Eco Park. That's science. So from nursery establishment to monitoring to outplanting, there is always science. So it's good because the survival rate increases. And if we don't have science, let's forget about mangrove because it's a waste of time, it's a waste of effort, it's a waste of money, of course. So that's it. That's science. Thank you.
Thank you, Menro Wilson. Kadodoy, science-based mangrove rehabilitation and conservation.
Yes, in terms of science-based, so hindi naman ligid sa atin na napakarami na ngayon ng mga kaalaman, even in internet, even in different academe can do every day everything of in terms of science. Hindi na mahirap ngayon. Sa amin kasi ang pinakamahirap na science kasi itong close collaborations between the PO, the community, the LGU, the CSOs and the other partners like academe. That's the best science. Yung lahat ng ginagawa natin dapat tayo lahat magkasama mula bata, matanda, kababaihan, IPs, politicians, academe, kasi sila yung may mga science diyan. Pero kahit gaano sa experience namin, kahit gaano kaganda ng science na ini-implement doon ng academe, ng local government, ng national, pag hindi talaga inintindihan ng local community na on the ground, baliwala lahat yan. Kasi sila yung at the end, sila yung lahat yung nandoon, at sila yung mangangalaga, sila yung nangangailangan, sila
Kadodoy is really emphasizing something na very important na kung may disconnect, no? Yung ating tinuturong science not being appreciated by
wala
the local
sa isang activity dapat lahat kasama tayong lahat. Yun po ang science para po sa akin.
Yes. Maraming salamat Kadodoy for emphasizing that, no. I remember in one of our studies in Iloilo, yun nga yung isang research namin on the perspectives. While, for example, the national government, the international community, academe, na nagko-conduct ng mga project, mangrove rehabilitation, for blue carbon, for climate change. Ang intention, for example, ay climate change, biodiversity. Pag tinanong mo yung local community, they view mangrove conservation as just planting trees for fuel wood. Kita mo na agad na magkaiba yung perspektibo. That's why minsan hindi magtatama. It's very difficult to achieve those bigger goals while the local community cannot elevate themselves to think beyond or to appreciate kung ano pa yung ano. That's why yung nababanggit ng mga IEC, mga ganon, preparing all the stakeholders to really have this one common vision and plan. Kaya siguro ang ilalagay ko dito, take home points for me. based on this question, teach the people how to observe, no? Nagtanim sila, then observe what happened. Collect data, be convinced, no? Or if not convincing yung nakita nilang observation, not positive, hindi maayos yung pagtatanim, mababa yung survival rate, be also creative enough to calibrate, no? Innovate, no? And kaya yung participation of the local community is very important in all processes. Okay, so thank you very much for that. That's our lightning round. Now, the reason for asking those questions, because we are looking forward to 2030, because there is this big global mangrove alliance target of increasing 20%, no, of our mangrove forests by 2030, you know. And to achieve this, there are three major directions. Number one, we have to stop or halt mangrove loss. We have to protect what we already have. Second, yun nga, nabanggit na yung science-based restoration. We have to do restoration, not just rehab, but restoration on a science base. And number three is building awareness. Yan. Kaya yon. So we are hopeful by 2030, hindi man natin ma-achieve yung 20%. But hopefully, sana nga malampasan pa natin yung 20% now that everyone, a lot of people, particularly tropical region, are rallying on the protection of our remaining mangroves and rehabilitating those areas that needing to be, restored or rehabilitated. Now we'll go on to our questions from our participants. Let me read some. Okay. Some were already answered. Yeah. First in the list, we have your Dr. Marco Galang. He is also a mangrove silviculture specialist based here in UPLB. Good day. May I know how species planted in plantation development rehabilitation are selected? Ayan, parang alam na alam niyo rin po sagot yan. It is based on zonation, location, species zone, association, or available propagules. So, yun po yung tanong niya. Paano tayo nagre-rehab? Zonation location ba o available propagule? Sinong gusto sumagot? Para related to sa science base Sige, mukhang si Kadodoy, nakangiti. Kadodoy, mauna ka na muna. Paano daw kayo nagtatanim?
Yung pagtatanim, yung zonation, yung propagation base, magkasama yan.
Okay.
Dapat alam mo yung una, alamin mo ano yung kadalasan na tumutubo o dominant sa lugar na yan dati o nang nawala na o nag-existing. Yon ang tinatawag na zonation, no, na zonification. At siyempre, kasi ang available ngayon, usually, yung kung ano lang yung nandoon nakikita, tulad ng sinabi kanina ni Sir na Rhizopora apiculata o Mocronata. So, yun ang kaagad ang itatanim. Yung tawag namin dyan, dawat limpyo sa Bisaya. Yung hindi ka na magpakahirap kasi ano lang yung available. Tatanim mo na. Lalong-lalo na pag may mga target, no?
Correct.
Pero yun, maganda yan na dapat alamin mo ano yung qualification ng lugar na at alam mo yung magandang itanim diyan based on science and research and experience, no.
Yeah.
Kasi ginagamit ko yan yung hindi man ako graduate in any universities in the Philippines, even outside, but I'm proud to say that I'm graduated from the UAE, no, University of Experience.
Actual experience. Okay, thank you, Kadodoy. Yeah, salamat. Naalala ko tuloy yung sinabi nung isang faculty po namin dito, si Professor Pastor Malabrigo. Sabi niya, ang tawag niya dyan ay rhizoforestation. Rhizoforestation. It sounds cool, pero mali, ano? Science-based, kaya napag-usapan nga natin. No? So, sabi ni Kadodoy, right zone, right species, no? Right site, no? Right timing. Ano pa ba? May dinagdag kami doon sa aming isang study, right people. Yan. because kung for photo op lang lagi yung planting, ay walang care. So we need the right people doing the conservation. Okay, meron din question po dito for LGU Prieto Diaz. Sabi niya, I am John Ray Quinones from Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology. How the pandemic affected the usual governance and enforcement of laws in your municipality? What is or are the common challenges faced by LGU in achieving such recognition and award? Okay, medyo mahaba ito. By the way, congratulations to Mayor and the team from LGU Prieto Diaz. Okay, Mama Amor, pandemic, paano daw naapektuhan ng inyong municipal? Siguro related to your mangrove programs. Yeah. And then ano daw yung mga key challenges, no? That you have experienced. Although nasagot niyo na kanina yon. But this is siguro ano na lang dito, in relation kasi ito po sa award on from MMK. Ano yung palagay niyo yung siguro key success na lang, no? That leads to your this award. Okay, Mama Amor.
Okay, so thank you po. As to key success, paano ba namin nakuha yung MMK? Simple lang naman, no? Partnership, collaboration with the community, especially the fisher folks. So, sabi nga ni aming former mayor, Boyte Doma, tao ang bida. Nakasalalay naman, the ultimate key manager ng ating resources are the users. So kung ma-orient natin mabuti ang ating mga mangingisda, ang community, on proper coastal resources management, sila mismo yung magmamanage ng resources ng tama. So kahit siguro ang daming introduce ng LGU, ng mga polisiya, kung hindi naman nila masyado naiintindihan yung importansya nun, wala din mangyayari. Second, kailangan natin makipag-collaborate, makipag-partner din sa ibang mga the national agencies. Kasi honestly speaking, Puerto Diaz is a fish-class municipality with very limited resources. So malaking tulong yung ginagawa ng mga national agencies para ma-improve yung aming CRF, particularly the mangrove. And as to pandemic, how it affect, sa tingin ko hindi masyado apektado yung sektor ng mga mangingisda dito kasi during pandemic, ang laking tulong ng dagat. Kasi nung pandemic talagang halos hindi makalabas-labas. So limited movement. So paano nga naman yung hanap buhay? So yung nag-sustain lang talaga yung resources sa dagat.
Okay.
Yun, malaking tulong siya nung pandemic. Basta nandyan, well-preserved yung mga the three coastal habitat, the seagrass, mangrove, corals, maraming nakukuhang isda and it answers to the pandemic.
Ayun. Thank you, Mama Amor, for that response. Now, siguro itong I would like to ask this question, or direct this question to Mayor Coro. This is a question from a Miss Nigeria delegate. Okay. Her question from Miss Esther Olawatosin Ajayi. Now, how can I adopt mangrove ecotourism to Nigeria and the mangrove-based livelihood that is workable for the communities in Nigeria? Perhaps Mayor Coro, how did you start yung ecotourism nyo? Kasi talagang pag sinabi kasing Siargao, nasa top of the list yan with Palawan. So, any suggestion for Miss Nigeria delegate, Miss Ajayi? Thank you.
Una, thank you for that question. It's really difficult to sell the mangroves. That's sa totoo lang as a tourism destination. Kaya sinasabi namin lagi two things yan. If you don't want to create alternative livelihood. One is tourism, one is about fisheries. Yung sa tourism, you cannot just sell the mangrove experience itself. Kasi wala ka naman gagawin sa mangrove. Gagawin ko. magpapahabol sa buhaya, di ba? Maliban doon, anong pwede mong ibang gawin? Wala eh. That's why it has to be experiential. So when you package tourism, you have to package the totality of the tourism. So kasama yung pagkain. So yung pagkain galing sa mangrove. Yung alimango mo, yung isda mo, yung hipon mo. So yun yung ipapa-experience mo sa kanya. Pangalawa, the culture. So how you dress, what kind of music you do. Kasama yan sa pagkain nila, paglalakad nila, pagpunta nila doon. Third is you have to make the experience more meaningful, which means you can either participate in mangrove planting, they can do some coastal cleanup, they can talk to people. If you have a boardwalk, they can go to the boardwalk, tapos may konting info dyan. So total tourism packaging. And that's what we did. Then we sold the idea of not just experience, but the brand. You have to create the brand value. When you start creating the brand value, ano yun for me?
Correct.
So for example, for Siargao, you say Siargao now, it's not just about going to Siargao, but being part of the crowd that went to Siargao. So kung hindi ka nakapag-Siargao, parang kulang yung buhay mo, di ba? So it's really the totality of tourism. The second part is you have to focus also on the fishery. Kasi yun nga, sinabi nga ng mga iba nating speakers, it's about also the food. Start off with that. Start off with why the mangrove matter. Yun nga yung title natin, why mangroves matter. So it's really about the food.
Right.
The food that it brings our table, the security that brings to us na pag may bagyo, yung storm surge, it's something na pwede mong pikitan ng mata, okay lang, hindi ka mapapahamak. So focus on that. Educating the people, the community about the value of the mangroves, about the value of food security that it brings to us, all these relationships. Then, when you have that commitment from the people, you can start exploring the alternatives. Pag wala pa yun, medyo mahirap. Kasi kahit anong pilit mo doon sa tourism mo, mangyayari, mayroong pumuputok na na dynamite fishing. Tapos pag may pumuputok na dynamite fishing, wala ka ng turista. Diba? So yan, it's an interconnected set of actions that you have to do, not sequential but together.
Right.
And that's the only way that you could get people to participate with you. And if I may quote our good friend from Roberto, it's about the people.
Yeah.
Sa tao yan. So yun. It's about the people. The behaviors of the tao ang kailangan natin to use. Then you can sell the product.
Wow. Very good. Well said. Thank you, Mayor Coro. This is for Menro Wilson. From Forester Wing Cabahog, from UPLB as well, among the potential livelihood opportunities among the coastal communities household that you are now implementing, perhaps which among these livelihoods can you recommend to be the most feasible?
Basically, as part of, sabi ko kanina, because Linkages integrated Katongan Eco Park is already part of the tourism circuit, and of course, the Coastal Barangay Mangrove Ceiling Growers Association is now doing livelihood income generations. Say, for example, they go on catering, and considering the number of visitors coming in the area, maybe one of the I could recommend is they have to focus on tour guiding, souvenir item, selling of souvenir item, and of course including na yung catering services nila. Yung mangrove, yung pagbibinta lang ng mangrove seedlings ay of course that matatapos din yan, but eventually because yung area namin is of course saturated na ng mangrove, so eventually yung market namin mabawasan na yon. Ayun na lang yung inano namin, sinistrengthen na lang namin yung activity nila that would focus na lang sa catering services and the rest activity para nasa tourism sa mga visitors namin na pumupunta. Thank you.
Ayun. Maraming salamat, Menro Wilson, for that answer. Now, this one is based on your observation. No, a question from anonymous attendee. No, it's very broad question, but you may answer kung you can answer it is specific, very specific kung kinakailangan. Ang tanong lang niya, are all mangroves species resilient to typhoon? Are the mangrove species that are resilient? What are the mangrove species resilient to typhoon? Sige po, baka meron kayong gustong ibahagi. Matibay nga ba lahat ng mangrove sa bagyo? Yan. Kadodoy, sa inyong experience dyan. Ay, nakamute po kayo. Yan.
Ay,
Ayan
sorry.
po. Okay po.
That's a good question, no? That's a very good question, observation that all kind of mangrove are resilient all kind of typhoon. That's why we encourage to plant more mangroves in our coastal area, especially on the green belt, no, especially in the prone coastal areas in the Philippines, you know. But after the although mangroves, all kind of mangrove are resilient on all kind of typhoon storms, but sometimes after the typhoon, since my experience in Giwan Samar, I was there. The most resilient mangrove ever I experienced are the Pagatpat and Miapi, because after the devastation of Yolanda, the other mangroves like Bakawan or Rhizopora will not grow after, but the Bakawan, the Pagatpat and the Miapi, so they regenerate their shoots or their branches after a couple of months, no. Then the Rhizopora, we have to plant later, no, itatanim natin ulit to grow this kind of Bakawan. So in terms of resiliency after the devastation, which is the Pagatpat and Miapi, but in general, all kinds of mangroves in the Philippines are very, very resilient in typhoon and other devastation occurs, no. That's my observation and that's our experience.
Okay. In relation to that, no, Dr. Manny Castillo is asking here, or he's also from UPLB. Climate change is a global phenomenon. Have you experienced any evidence of climate change effect in your respective site? Sabi niya, okay, wala lang yung question, but okay. He just want to know, meron bang preparation na ginagawa kayo, no? Like for example, coming typhoon, do you have any preparation? I would like to ask this question to Menro Wilson because they are showcasing their green-gray infrastructure. So it also, good for, protecting mangroves against the harsh tides. Menro Wilson, can you share something about that?
Yes, Doc. Basically, that's why sinasabi ko kanina yung Rhizopora is not, of course, not recommended species for different planting. But of course, considering that there was a massive coastal erosion, we installed the bamboo T-pinches. These bamboo T-pinches, this is what you call an innovative technology that promotes sediment accretion. So although dahan-dahan lang siya, but it helps. Really, it helps. Based on our experience, our eroded area before, of course, survival of mangrove is very, very minimal. But since we installed these bamboo T-pinches along the coastline, the soil accretion were observed, and that the mangrove grow naturally, or aside from, of course, we plant following the assisted natural regeneration. But what is the most important is this infrastructure really helps in resolving the massive coastal erosion. That's great.
Ayan, salamat po. So, siguro yung resilience is also dependent on how, if of course we have green-gray, kagaya ng sabi ni Kadodoy, it will be resilient if you're planting the right species on the right zone, no? Tapos you add up some more, like for example nga yung nabanggit po ni Menro Wilson is like the T-fence, no? In Ahoy, Iloilo, I remember they put a rock wall, no? Just to regulate the impact of storm surge. We have one question here, but I don't know if this could be answered now, pero maybe in the near future. Juvie Reyes, if I'm not mistaken, forester din po ito. Would like to ask if there are some studies or not or ongoing studies about mangrove tree species which can survive both on salt and freshwater habitat like lakes. Thank you po. But I would say na puro salt naman yung ating mangrove. Sige, ako na lang mag-respond. Parang gusto kong sagutin eh. It's posted here, but very interestingly, there is one paper, I'm showing it right now, no, 2022. They studied a delta in Amazon, whereby they have documented a mangrove area growing on seemingly fresh water. But this is, I'm not saying this to send the wrong message that you can plant mangroves around the lakes, no? Kasi yon siguro yung sa Amazon, dati mataas yung tubig, the salt water can come inside very far, and then right now nagbago na yung tidal regime, puro fresh water na. But it's an ongoing study, but the novel mangrove environment, that's what they how to say that, put a title there, the novel environment and composition on a freshwater mangrove, published in Current Biology. All right, I think we got all the questions. Just in case we miss some of your questions, we'll be happy to list them down and send it to our speakers, no, for them to respond, no. So this doesn't mean that hindi na kayo pwedeng magtanong. You can still send us your questions either through the FB, chat box, or through email, to FDC. So again, I am so delighted to moderate this open forum and also the lightning round, and so delighted because we have here with us really the LGU champions. If you talk about mangrove conservation in the Philippines, particularly initiative, these are few of the very few. Yun ang gusto natin sabihin na talagang at the top, no, of their not only success but of their commitment and participation. And a resounding message, not only from this webinar but the previous webinars that we had, this FDC e-talks, and also the many discussions that we're having national. Many of these people are also part of those discussions. We need more champions, not only LGU champions, but the more LGU champions, the better, because yung mga successful stories, LGU initiated. Of course, there are PO initiated as well, like Dodoy, many parts as well. Marami rin yung involvement ng NGO. We need a lot, no? Because we're still, globally, the picture is like we are losing more than what we are restoring. And climate change remains, and we have to do something, no? And good news, mangroves is a powerhouse of carbon stock or storage. We need to keep whatever we have now, expand, and even rehab what can be rehab. So again, thank you very much to our esteemed speakers, no? And I really look forward to visiting again your sites, no? Yan, kaya yun, maraming salamat po ulit, and to all our participants for their questions, no? We really enjoyed, and napakaganda po ng mga tanong nyo. And we sincerely hope that this webinar inspired you, to have your own initiative, to contribute, no, to do something, no, to be part of a solution. So maraming salamat po, at mapagpalang araw po sa ating lahat. Back to you, Michiko.
Ayan, thank you so much, Sir Dixon. Thank you so much to Mayor Coro, Ma'am Amor, Sir Wilson, Kadodoy. Ayan, for the very excellent discussion, and of course the hindi po ito mangyayari kung wala po tayong excellent facilitation din by Sir Dixon po, no? And the synthesis as well that we have, kaya po marami po tayong natutunan. We have indeed learned so much from our local stakeholders or partners in turning the tide for mangroves conservation. And so let me just say congratulations po to all. I know all the participants appreciated po all your input. Let's give them a round of applause. Ayan. Even kahit po sa ating mga reactions na lamang or even through Zoom chat, let's give them that applause icon. Ayan. So now, again, thank you so much for that virtual class. So now may I just invite the speakers, Sir Dixon, and even Associate Dean Anna, Doc Len, to start your videos for the awarding of certificates of appreciation, as well as a quick group photo later. Ayan, so in the screen, there's the certificate of appreciation. I will just read the certificate citation. The Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Alfredo M. Coro II, Charito Amor C. Lagadia, Wilson A. Batislaon, and Roberto A. Ballon for serving as speakers on the topic Mangrove Ecotourism and Linkages, Mangrove Protection and Livelihood, Partnerships in Mangrove Conservation, and Mangrove-based Livelihood, respectively, during the Forest Policy eTalks 2022 FDC webinar series on Turning the Tide, Why Mangroves Matter. Third webinar, Mangrove Ecosystem Goods and Services, Practices and Lessons Learned in Mangrove Development and Utilization, with support from the Information Technology Center, UPLB, via Zoom webinar. Given this 16th day of August 2022, signed Leonida A. Bugayong, Officer in Charge of the Forestry Development Center. So again, congratulations po to all. Now for the group photo, are we all ready? Tayo po ay mag-open cam lang po and mag-smile. Ayan. I will just take the photo. Is our technical group ready? I'll just count to 3 po, no? 1, 2, 3, smile. Ayan. Thank you so much. And now, to officially conclude the webinar, may I request the Officer in Charge of FDC, Dr. Leonida A. Bugayong, to deliver her closing remarks.
Thank you, Michiko. Magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat. Good day, everyone. Sa ating mga 526 na registered participants, about 406 participants via Zoom and 212 at the FB live stream. So sa ating mga panauhing mananalita, our speakers na lahat ay multi-awarded champions on mangrove conservation, rehabilitation, and development. Kay Honorable Mayor Alfredo M. Coro II na umalis na po dahil meron pa siyang ibang event na ina-attendan. Marami kay Ma'am Charito Amor Lagadia from Prieto Diaz, Menro Wilson Batislaon of Linkages, Iloilo, at si Kadodoy, Ginoong Roberto A. Ballon ng Kabasalan sa Buanga, Sibugay. Sa inyong lahat, maraming salamat po. Marami kaming natutunan sa inyo at ang mga gusto ko lang i-summarize yung mga napag-usapan, present ng ating mga speakers at yung sa open forum and the discussions na well moderated by Dr. Dixon Gavania. So isa po ang sabi dito, science-based mangrove rehabilitation, conservation, and protection needs to gather information and data to make the right decisions and to establish or plant the right species at the right zones at by the right people. So nabanggit po ito ng ibang ng ating mga speakers and even during the open forum. And then among the resource persons, binanggit din yung sustained partnerships ng mga LGUs, government agencies, NGOs and CSOs, our private sector partners, and most of all, yung local communities na kailangan ay empower natin at i-build yung kanilang awareness, capability for them to be able to help in the sustained management of the mangroves in their areas. And of course, good local governance. We need champions from the LGUs, and they are forging partnerships with various sectors, even volunteers. And isang magandang sinabi ng ating mga LGU resource persons ay yung legislating and enforcing ordinances to mainstream sustainable mangrove initiatives. At nakita natin doon sa kanilang mga experiences na shinare ang kahalagahan ng local ordinances. And then sustained funding. Nabanggit po, you have to flex your awards. So kailangan ipagyabang yung ating awards dahil ito ang mag-showcase ng success stories natin na eventually makagain ng trust and interest and funding support from other partners and donors. So importante na even if we don't have the awards yet, ipakita natin that we have some good outputs and maging transparent tayo sa pag-implement ng mga projects, and we give the right information ano yung mga gusto nating ma-achieve doon sa ating mga proposed projects. And of course, very important doon sa mga sinabi ng ating mga resource persons is the need to educate the people. So kailangan, dahil marami sa kanila yung hindi nakakaalam, we have first to wean them away from the illegal activities or yung maling kaalaman by providing sustainable alternative livelihood. And then we empower them, we build their capabilities, and eventually we gain their commitment for sustainable and long-term mangrove management. So marami po kaming natutunan. I'm sure marami din kayo natutunan. So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat Dr. Dixon Givanya, ang aming iniintay na magiging director ng FDC. Salamat sa suporta at for joining us in today's webinar. So ito po yung pangatlong webinar series natin on mangroves. Inaanyanahan din namin kayo na antayin yung ating next, yung fourth na mangrove webinar, which will be about science-based technologies, and especially ipipresent din, hopefully mapresent sa atin yung mangrove roadmap. So yun lamang po. Maraming salamat. I hope you have a good lunch, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for the closing remarks, Doc Len. And now for the announcements. Please stay tuned for updates. Katulad po ng nasabi na nga po ni Doc Len, magkakaroon pa po tayo ng next webinar under the Turning the Tide, Why Mangroves Matter. So we will post updates soon only on our Facebook page. So kindly follow, for further announcements, kindly follow FDC's social media pages. We usually post webinar updates and highlights on our Facebook page. We upload full webinar recordings on our YouTube page, as well as eTalks highlights. Ayan. So lastly, here is the link and the QR code for the post-evaluation. Your feedback is most appreciated. So kindly accomplish on or before August 23 at 12 noon. Reminder, the e-certificate will be distributed once the post-evaluation form is accomplished by the participant. The presentations of the speakers may be requested naman po by interested participants, given that the post-evaluation form is already accomplished. So through the FDC email na lang po ito. And with that, I close this webinar. Thank you again to our 367 participants na lamang po ang nandito, no? But kanina po over 400 po ang naka-attend, and to our FD Live participants as well. who joined us today. Again, this is Michi Kubuot. A pleasant day to all.